Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all having a great and wonderful day. Well, what we have here is the Biden officials and Biden himself being caught, faking the Autopen, which is not really a surprise here. This was back about a year ago, talking about how the Autopen was being kind of falsified and not really being true. Well, it's holding to be the correct one. This is what we have here from Donald Trump speaking about the Autopen situation here, and we're going to go delve a little bit quicker. Here we go.
That's what an Autopen's supposed to be. To write to a young 7-year-old boy that writes to the president, and he wants to be president someday, and he loves America. That's what the Autopen's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be for signing major legislation and all the things. No, the Autopen, and I doubt he knew. I doubt they even spoke to him about it. I think they had, it's called a freewheeling Autopen. Like, Biden was never for open borders. Biden was never for transgender for everyone. So I don't think I think the radical left people that took over the White House, and if I didn't win, our country was finished.
Yeah, so this Autopen situation has gotten very, very serious. We have this here again. It's from Fox News, but pretty much saying that the top aide admits to Congress she directed Autopen signatures without knowing who gave the final approval. So pretty much saying that, there was a whole bunch of staffers that were doing it. It's there's even another staffer that was saying, I approve the use of the Autopen for the execution of all the following pardons. And this was from Biden's chief of staff, Jeff Zients. So seems to be a crazy thing here where all these staffers are going to get exposed. Fox News kind of explains on what's been going on here in the situation with Biden and his Autopen insanity. So without further ado, here you go.
Development in the alleged cover-up of Biden's decline. One of Biden's top aides admitted she was authorized to use the Autopen signatures without knowing who in the president's inner circle was giving her final clearance. This, as Joe Biden's former aide, Anthony Bernal, bailed on his scheduled testimony for the congressional investigation. Former counsel to the president, President Trump as well. Fox News contributor Kellyanne Conway joins us now. So Kellyanne, how does this work? Who gives the order for the signature? It's normally the president, but it doesn't look like that happened.
This is an important story for the American public because the role of staff secretary, which was occupied by Neera Tanden in the Biden White House, that person controls the paper flow in and out of the Oval Office. So often, Lawrence, when you see President Trump sitting behind the Resolute desk in his second term, you see his staff secretary, Will Scharf, handing him the executive orders and explaining to him and us, since the cameras are on, what the purpose of that executive order is. For Neera Tanden to testify under oath yesterday that she, quote, had very little interaction with the President of the United States, with the Commander-in-Chief, Joe Biden, is just remarkable. And it is derelict of duty because we always say the chief of staff is the people flow, but the staff secretary is the paper flow. The staff secretary in President Trump's administrations is so important that they posted a member of the staff secretary's office in the outer oval toward the end of the first term because the volume and velocity with which President Trump operates necessitates that constant paper flow. What is the role of staff secretary? Neera Tanden's job, Will Scharf's job, is to make sure that everything is vetted. A president has options at his disposal. And to do that, you have to look the president in the eye, make sure they see the options. She's admitting that she wasn't part of the inner circle, that other people were making the decisions, and then the Autopen was all fired up. And Neera Tanden, look, this is somebody who is a hyper-partisan figure. Yeah. They had her pull her Senate-confirmed positions in the first couple months of the Biden term. He gave her one that was non-Senate confirmed because before then, as now, she runs really the heart of the resistance, the Center for American Progress. So this is important because under oath, she admitted that she doesn't know who made those decisions.
But how's this?
Yeah, so that's not good in the slightest, all right? That is actually really bad. So what we have here is just a matter of these Biden officials or these Biden assistants or staffers really the ones that are taking control of the White House and doing things without Biden's knowledge or just doing things that they sign off. So a lot of the things that they were going here with seems to be only by the staff and not occupied or signed by Biden himself, which means these people were essentially running the country or signing things that Biden probably normally wouldn't have signed in the first place. So that's a huge problem. We have this here from Charlie Kirk saying, worth pointing out that the only Hunter Biden pardon appears to contain Joe Biden's authentic signature. This was from the June when Peter Ducey pointed out that the glaring discrepancy. Here we go.
In fact, if you look at the last name, it almost looks like the president was having a hard time spelling his last name there. Is this White House of the opinion that the only pardon that would count is one that the president signed himself?
It's very interesting. Very interesting props. If you want to bring them to my office later so I can take a closer look, I would like to do that. The president is making a good point when he discusses the usage of the Autopen. Who was running the country for the past 4 years? Perhaps those documents were signed with the Autopen, something that this, I believe the Department of Justice is looking into. As you saw, Ed Martin made an announcement at the Department of Justice this morning to launch an investigation because the American people deserve answers.
Is there any concern that this president, who won the election on a promise to fix the economy and close the border, that focusing and scrutinizing these Biden pardons is looking into the past instead of looking forward?
I think in comparison to the amount of time this president has spent on securing the border, on fixing our economy, I just read out for you an entire list of economic accomplishments. Look at the border numbers. Look at the time and effort he's divulged into solving the global conflicts abroad. It pales in comparison, but it's still, nevertheless, is a very important issue. And it was a huge issue that sent the president back to this White House. The Americans saw with their own eyes a mentally incompetent president, and they want answers for that, and the president believes they should have
And
them.
something that just crossed, Caroline, how mad do you think President Trump is going to be when he finds out that Elon Musk said, "I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it."
Look, the president already knows where Elon Musk stood on this bill. It doesn't change the president's opinion. This is one big, beautiful bill, and he's sticking to it. Cameron.
Thank you.
Yeah, so essentially, there's a lot of weird things that are going on. Like, who was in control of the country? We have, again, this here, where Biden goes on to say that, like, on who made the clemency decisions, he says, I made every single one of those, and including the categories when we set this up to begin with. And so, but I understand why Trump would think that, because obviously, I guess he doesn't focus much. Anyway, so yes, I made every decision. On why Autopen was signed to sign the warrants, he says, because there were a lot of them. And it continues to say here, the Autopen is legal. And as you know, other presidents use it, including Trump. But the point is that we're talking about a whole lot of people. And then he goes on to say here, they're liars. They know it. They know for on Trump and other Republicans saying Biden was incapacitated on his aides' abuse of Autopen. They're liars. They know it. They know for certain. I mean, this is what they've had a pretty good thing going here. They've done so badly. They've lied so consistently about almost everything they're doing. The best thing they could do is try to change the focus and focus on something else. And I think that's what this is about. It's consistent with Trump's game plan all along. I mean, if I don't expect you to answer any questions, but if I told you 3 years ago we'd have a president doing this, I think you'd look at me in the eye and say, "What are you crazy?" So yeah, a lot of this stuff that's been going on here is with the Biden situation, right? And of course, we have a bit more with this type of thing. It says former President Joseph R. Biden Jr. is escalating his battle against Republican claims that he might not have been in control of high-profile clemency decisions issued under his name and at the end of his term, and more generally that his cognitive state impaired his functioning in office. In an interview with the New York Times, Biden said that he had orally granted all the pardons and commutations issued at the end of his term, calling President Trump and other Republicans liars for claiming his aides had used an Autopen to do so without his authorization. I made every decision, Biden said in a phone interview on Thursday, asserting that he had his staff use an Autopen, replicating his signature on the clemency warrants because we're talking about a whole lot of people. But again, what we know here is that Biden didn't, these staffers just did the signing without Biden's knowledge, or rather didn't do anything. So that's the crazy part here. We go on to say here that the interview was Biden's first about the parallel investigations begun by the Trump White House, the Justice Department, and Congress into a series of clemency decisions made by Biden and in his final weeks in office and his mental acuity during his term. Republicans in Congress have demanded sworn interviews with former Biden aides, prompting them to hire their own lawyers. Some lawyers are said to have warned their clients not to talk publicly and about the dangers of testifying because the Justice Department under Mr. Trump might be eager to bring perjury charges over inconsistency, no matter how minor. Well, I think that a lot of these people are doing perjury, and the fact that we had a lot of these other people, like Biden aides, pretty much citing the Fauci stuff, that's pretty much out the window. That's been gone. Like, it's pretty much fake at this point. So, it's not looking good for these people and the Biden's Autopen signatures. It's looking very bad. So I don't know what else to tell you guys, but the insanity here is not looking good. It says, in terms of my fam, he'd go after me through my family. I know how vindictive he is. I mean, everybody knows how vindictive he is. So we knew that he'd do that, what they're doing now. So again, it's really hard to say on what was going on, but what we have here is just a simple case of we don't know who was running the country. Or we do know that it might have been his Biden aides, but these what we call these so-called Autopens are a disaster. They're a destruction in the making here. And I just can't fathom on how we can allow this type of thing to happen in this country. And as long as this investigation goes forward, we need a lot of these people that were doing the Autopens to be arrested and then figure out who was actually running the country and arrest them too. Because this is not something that should stand in our country. This should not stand at all. And I wouldn't allow this for Biden doing this, and I wouldn't allow this for Trump doing this. So there needs to be repercussions for it. This is not going to work. This is not going to look good for the Democrats going forward. I mean, Trump has the Epstein problem, which that needs to be addressed. But outside of that, he's been doing a pretty good job. I'm not saying don't lay off of him on the Epstein stuff, because we should keep the pressure on him, but on that situation. But everything else is so far being good. So we'll see what happens here. It's not looking good for Democrats whatsoever, and we're going to see where this goes. All right, guys, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share. As always, take care, my friends.